back to the Zoholics show here in Austin, Texas. We got 6'5" on the road. Here we are with my favorite Futurum people. Don't tell the other Futurum people. Are they watching this? I'm glad Dave Nicholson's here.
He is.
What's your fancy new title?
New title?
What's your fancy?
Chief Research Officer.
There you go. Your fancy Chief Research Officer. Lisa Martin. I'm Cory Johnson. I'm the Chief Market Strategist.
That's
also a fancy title.
It's even fancier.
I want your take on Zoho.
I think I'm a good person to give a take on Zoho if you want a fresh set of eyes, because honestly, I didn't know a lot about them. I've spent so much time in working with companies that focus on sort of the larger enterprise space. I didn't really have a good feel for the segment that Zoho plays in. So just out of the gate, I was absolutely blown away by Sridhar, their CEO's presentation of their
really
philosophy.
Unique
Very unique. Yes.
He talked about things that seemed to me to be self-evident in terms of the way that companies should treat their employees so that employees will treat customers well and things like that. Blown away by that. Also, a couple of things that I highlighted in my notes having to do with this idea that a lot of companies stop engineering in the direction of innovation, engineering products, and instead focus on financial engineering. That is so true. So far, halfway into the day, I'm pretty bullish on what they do.
Yeah, and just to circle back to that idea, I think one of the reasons that we're generally, if you're not aware of Zoho, you're not aware of Zoho, is our financial media tends to focus too much on stocks and not on business. And here you have a giant business whose competitors also have publicly traded U.S. stocks.
Yeah, well, now that's sort of the pot calling the kettle black. Wouldn't it be, Cory? A prime offender number one.
I live the financial markets, but I understand that they are the financial markets. It's not the business world. And here's a great example of a giant technology company that's so important to so many, over 1 million users, right, all over the world. What did you tell someone? Sorry, over 100 million.
100 million users.
Over 1 million customers, and yet unrepresented in the U.S. stock market, and all my financial media brethren of days past.
Right, a real business, business,
and he
Lisa.
talked about that this morning, and the word that he used was conviction, one of the many words he used to describe his leadership of Zoho for the last 28 years now, since the 90s, the 1900s. I loved how he talked about that. I think you and I kind of had similar takes on that. We see a ton of keynotes. We see a ton of CEOs. We get the great privilege of interviewing many. There's uniqueness here that I haven't seen probably ever before in a CEO keynote. When he talked about, from a CMO advisor perspective, which is my title at Futurum Group, we talk often about the employee experience and the customer experience, and they have to be like this. We know that within marketing, for example. But what he talked about it was from a company cultural perspective, which I really was impressed with. And he actually came on the show and we kind of had similar discussions. We've already had some customers on longtime customers who've brought Zoho from job to job to job. Exactly. Yeah. And so their philosophy, his work ethic, his determination to stay private really stood out. But the benefits that the customers are achieving are really tangible.
Yeah. I saw a free grown man on that stage when he was talking, just absolutely free from the constraints of the quarterly drumbeat of Wall Street asking you constantly, what are you going to do about this thing that we think is a threat to your business? So they can really focus on putting money towards R&D in the direction of things that make sense. A sane, sensible, methodical deployment of AI, as an example, to enhance.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think that their approach to AI is super interesting in that they want to have an end result of AI, not an end result of a better product, not an end result that is the AI product.
Yeah, well, one of the things that was mentioned was this idea that it's not it's an additional feature to charge additional dollars for. It's the idea that it's an enhancement to existing capabilities to increase productivity. There was a great citation about something like only 30% of even the beginnings of value are being teased out of a lot of SaaS that people are paying for today, which I completely believe. There's a lot of shelfware. Anyone who's interacted with a big-time enterprise SaaS platform knows that very little actual value is being extracted.
I think of it as the Control-Alt-Delete problem. Like, for all of the great things we talk about, the possibilities of technology and the cool things that CEOs think their products could do, there's always a Control-Alt-Delete somewhere in the weeds.
Yeah.
On the AI strategy front, there were a couple of things that were said today by gentlemen who were going to be guests on our program. And one of them was Ram, who's the head of AI strategy. And he talked about, or took this in my notes, that Zoho was committed to AI principles that matter. And those principles are contextual, truthful, privacy-focused, and value-driven. And then we also had Raju, who's the chief evangelist, who's going to be on later, talk about the best use of AI is when a user doesn't know they're using AI, but they get value from that.
Sure.
And I just thought that was such a clear, strong statement.
Oh, yeah. It's funny, Lisa, it reminds me of a statement that those of us who are Apple fanboys that go way back used to say, and that is, we want to get work done on our computers. We don't want to work on our computers. And it's the same thing. It's okay to be an AI hobbyist, and I enjoy tinkering with shiny objects and toys, but ultimately you just want your software to work better. You want to get more value out of it. I think that the focus on context is particularly important when you deal in this small to medium business world, because my business context, if I have a firm with a couple of hundred employees with bespoke data that is very, very specific to my enterprise, that's critical. I don't care about AI reasoning over a bunch of garbage on the internet. Mm-hmm. I care about AI reasoning over all of this stuff that they're proposing we now consolidate into CRM from a Zoho perspective in a way that teases out intelligence.
Yeah. There also is a big focus on this conference of a new product that's going to sort of have Zoho fill in the blanks and sort of have there be a connective tissue within an organization. And it strikes me that it seems like a good idea. It seems like an obvious idea that a company would get to, and yet there's a natural tension. I think you see this most in technology and security, where a fix to a problem is so important that having one security package for everything doesn't work for most companies. No. They have little fixes, but they've always got this patchwork of solutions because of that. And Zoho is confronting with that right now, where they're trying to have one master solution for everything and have everyone in the organization using Zoho for everything that they want to do. But there's always going to be a conflict, I think, within the technology organization, the stack, if you will.
There's been a tension between at least advertising the idea that you have a single pane of glass to control all things or do all things. I don't necessarily associate that with the CRM for everyone sort of premise. Living through managing some business processes recently, boy, it really is frustrating to have to go through 3 or 4 different pieces of software and try and collaborate among groups of people.
Yes.
It would be nice to have people living in the same space with various teams having various views. I haven't had a chance to play with it to know just how realistic it is, but it's definitely a worthwhile goal.
From a messaging perspective, what they're talking about with CRM for everyone is this cross-functional collaboration. Mm-hmm. They talk about enabling all the groups that were siloed before, marketing, sales, finance, ops, customer service, support, to be able to communicate within Zoho CRM with everyone to really ensure that the customer's experience is as seamless as possible.
Well, and I hear it from finance guy, which is, you've already got a customer, you've sold to 40% of the organization, maybe now you can get to 70% of the organization. So you don't have to find a new customer, you don't have to find a new contact, you just have a product that can help you upsell or more sell within the organization.
I think that whole, if I'm hearing you correctly, I think that what Zoho is saying is customer first, holistic view. Back in my EMC days, little tangential, but a little bit related. The idea was that everyone is selling. Everyone sells in the company.
That's what he said to us. Yeah. Everyone sells.
Oh, did he?
He literally said that.
Yeah. No, I mean, and so when you think of it that way, it's not necessarily selling, but it's if everyone is in the business of serving the customer, I see that as the same as selling.
I love it. This has been a really great, I think, program for us to be able to showcase just the uniquenesses within organizations. He was very adamant as well about we are not a software company, we are a technology company. They've only grown organically. It's been an interesting, successful ride for 28 years. I'm happy to be at my first Zoholics. I think you are as well, and excited to have your input. Dave, thank you so much for joining us on the program, sharing what you've learned so far on day one. We appreciate your time.
And I'm happy to be with both you guys here in Austin, Texas. But we have more from Austin, Texas, from Zoholics when 6-5 on the Road continues.